So Meshell Baker is with us today. And Meshell is the owner of Meshell Baker Enterprises, which was founded to help female founders. So people who are women who are creating their own companies, founding their own companies, women business owners and sales leaders to empower their people to develop high performance resilience and unstoppable confidence. Meshell, along with your team, leverages 25 years of sales and leadership success in more than a dozen countries to inspire energetic and collaborative communication. Her clients acquire the knowledge, skills, and support to individually integrate success principles and fundamentals, resulting in market improved confidence and sustainable high performance, which is really necessary if you're a founder of a new business. Meshell will be presenting Unleashing Your Unstoppable Superpowers. So think about what your superpower is, and today you're going to learn a few more. Please welcome Meshell.
Oops, wait, it says unmute myself. Thank you so much, James, for that incredible introduction. And know that my target audience is female founders, women business owners, and I always work with teams and organizations, individuals who are looking to make a great impact in their career. The bottom line is, I believe that every job is an entrepreneurship. When you own that role, you change the trajectory of your career. So we will go through the slide deck. If you have any questions, pop them in chat. James, if you could keep an eye on chat for me, that way, and stop me at any time if you believe that it's really relevant for me to answer. I don't get thrown off, so we'll be fine. Let's have some fun, okay?
All right, I will do that.
So as you see balloons behind me, it's one of the things that I'm known for. It's that high energy, confidence, and the joy, because I believe that's what makes people contagious, right? When I did work in corporate, I was not renowned for my ability to assuage any situation, any colleague, any difficulties, because I just always believed that I had the power to turn things into favorable. It was just an opportunity to challenge and allow me to hone and refine my character and my skills. It was never about them. It was always about me getting the lesson. So what you can expect today, understand your critic. The reason people struggle with any situation is because of what's the voice or the conversation that's happening internally. It's never the external circumstances. Uncover your champion, that voice that is telling you you can't, actually wants to tell you can. It just hasn't been conditioned properly. Unveil your courage. When you align and you start switching that internal conversations, you start clearly defining your external desires, then you'll have a reason and an impetus to want to move forward in more courageous and brave situations, because the desire in you will start to well up. And then unite you with your collaborators, right? Everything we get in life comes from someone else. Right? Someone either hires us, someone says yes to us, someone tells us about an opportunity. And when you can surround yourself and create yourself as being so valuable to the people that you interact with on a regular basis, they will always want to help you, support you, guide you, give you things, refer you. I always tell people, when you live your life being valuable, right? Don't worry what anybody else did, said, or didn't do. Your role is just being valuable. That's one of the greatest powers. What it'll do is it allows you to be the name that someone says in a room of opportunity when you're not present, right? So as we go through this, people say, oh, what are superpowers, right? Okay, before we get into the little that, let me tell you why I do what I do and why I'm the one standing here telling you about this. As you see on the top left or right, top right is me and my sister. She is my impetus. I have twice in my life changed my entire routine, my entire geographical location because of her. She was born disabled, and for whatever reasons, she's been challenged in our life. So back in 2013, I left my corporate. I had a I was a biotech sales rep. I had a 6-figure job, and I left that to be her live-in aide. And leaving that because I knew that I wasn't leaving. I was moving to something greater. I was saying yes to something greater. Not that I was giving up anything. I was saying yes to the opportunity, to the unknown, and trusting that it was going to work in my favor because the decision I was making was a favorable one. There's no way you can't. When you plant a seed of belief, all you're going to get is a blessing. What happens is most people are planting seeds of fear looking for awesome, right? If you're not doing activities that are cultivating and amazing and awesome and incredible in yourself and others, stop looking for your life to be awesome. It is the result of what you believe, then what you say, and then what you do. So having said that, I went to a networking meeting, heard about entrepreneurship, was like, yeah, I'll give that a try. Turns out I'm really good at it, right? I'm good at speaking. I'm good at empowering, igniting, and inspiring people. So it's led me on a lot of different paths and journeys. And even when it wasn't easy, I still believed it was what I called to do. So having said that, your careers, it's the same thing. I just want to show you to validate again, these are some of the companies. I get as many as I could on the slide where you can still read them that I have worked with, some I still work with, and in the capacity of either a speaker, trainer, or coach. So that's the 3 things that I do. I do it exceedingly well, and I love it. And coaching is my absolute favorite thing to do, to help people to create the habit of believing in themselves. So today what we're going to talk about is what your superpower is, and your superpower is your confidence. And all confidence is confidence is accepting the unplanned, the unexpected, unpredictable, unanticipated situations, circumstances, and people with the belief that it's going to work in your favor. Most people, as soon as something doesn't go their way, oh, they're complaining. As soon as they don't get what they want, oh, it's unfair. As soon as someone negative comes up, something's wrong with them, right? Instead of actually believing that regardless of anything external to you, it is still working in your favor. And that is what changes to the trajectory of a life. Most people are incapable of holding the emotion that everything is working in your favor. So say it again. Confidence is the habit of mastering your feelings of discomfort. And that's what an adult does. And most of our population does not adult well. They throw tantrums like they're kids. As soon as they don't get what they want, they go find someone to complain, have a pity party, and point out what's wrong with them, instead of recognizing in order to have more, there's no genie or Santa Claus coming. You must become more. And the only time a human being becomes more is when they face difficulties, challenges, setbacks, naysayers, critics, being fired, being let go, being divorced, being broken up with, being disappointed, being lied to. That's when, in the face of all of that, you still say, does it matter? I'm amazing, and amazing, it's on its way. This is just me being reminded of how good amazing is going to be. Because in our world, you wouldn't know what awesome was if you didn't know awful. They're all feelings. So for your feelings, for you to have what you want, all you're being asked is to expand your capacity to experience challenges and difficulties. So we're going to go into, well, how do you do that, Meshell? Okay, that's great. So how do I expand that? Well, I'm going to start you off and give you guys a little 90 seconds here to write down your top 3 goals for 2022. And I challenge you to write big, hairy, audacious goals and dreams. I challenge you to go so far out that just writing it makes you uncomfortable. Just thinking about it right now, as you get ready to write it, you feel it in your heart and in your chest, in your soul. You feel a bit of a quiver. At the same time, it excites you. I call it nervous-sided, right? So you're nervous, but you're excited because you're nervous because you don't know how, but you know if you did, it would be absolutely freaking amazing. So I challenge you to make at least one of those things. My top 3 are all those things. Because what happens is that is the muscle that is telling you, that is the emotion that has been telling you your entire life, that when you feel uncomfortable, when you feel inconvenienced, when you feel uncertain, when you're met with the unplanned and the unexpected, you have been conditioned by your upbringing, society, to think something's wrong. That's how I was raised, right? I relocated 8 months ago to help my parents with my sister. So now I'm living close to my mom, and I'm like, oh my God, it literally reminds me why it's so necessary to do what I do. Because it's just like when I got back here, I started to digress because old patterns started coming out, right? Responses, and I was reacting to her like I was when I was a kid because I hadn't lived around her in decades. And then I remembered, no, I must control my emotions, because as soon as you decide you write these goals, your only role is to believe that they're possible. Because anytime you go counter to that belief, you kill it, you abort them. Your mentality is your reality. You will never have more than what you believe. You will never have more than what you're thinking. You will never have more than what you're saying. So today, as we go through this, I'm going to give you some tips and tools to help you shift. Now, no, this is a process. However old you are, 30, 40s, 50s, 60s. I didn't start this until I was in my 40s. And oh, dear God, there were times where I was literally sobbing like someone had beat me because it felt so painful. But the only pain was my mind. It was freeing my mind from what I had been conditioned to believe, the untruths that were causing me to make decisions that weren't in favor of what I knew I was capable of. So again, we're going to go through this. Is there anything in chat before I start moving on, James, that we want to address? No, keep going. All right. Okay, so B, and I do acronyms. I tell people I didn't go to college until I was 25 years old. So the only way I could pass tests was I literally acronymed everything. And so when I came back and I started to be an entrepreneur and I started speaking and teaching and coaching, I was like, oh my God, I have this knack and this gift. So I help people remember things. So I just started going with it. First, I thought it was weird because nobody else was doing it. Now, pretty much a lot of people do it, but I love it. So today's acronym is BIG, B-I-G, and it's all about the big dreams, because the bigger the dream, the more fuel you will create inside yourself. The farther you go out into what your heart's desire is, the more you are required to develop yourself.
Time for another Monday networking.
Did someone say something, or someone needs to mute?
I needed to mute. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Okay. Yeah. So, and if anybody has any feedback or something, please put it in chat. One of the things that I will say before I go on is that I did notice with this call is there's a lot of cameras off. When I go to Zoom meetings, I pretty much 98 to 99% of the time, I put my camera on, because what it does is it holds me accountable to be present. The only time you ever have in life is now. You only ever have now, this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. This is the only time we ever have. And when you master being present, that's when you'll start to be able to hear better, to see better, and to make better decisions. So I challenge you, not just today, but to make it the standard, right? I get up and I got yoga pants on. I could have pajama pants on, right? But I put on a pretty top, a necklace, and some lipstick, right? You don't know what's going on. Right? I call this the business mullet, right? It's business up top, party down below. So, but again, it keeps me accountable to be present, and it actually helps people because I show up and I have the lipstick and I smile and I have the balloons, people have a belief in me. I created my own persona during Zoom, during the pandemic, because everywhere I went, I had something bubbly behind me. I always had on something. I was smiling no matter what people said. So as I started going consistently to places where I was looking to create opportunity, once people heard me a couple of times, because it takes time for someone else to believe in you, you must first believe in yourself before someone else can. And then the next thing I know, I was getting recommendations, referrals. Oh my God, this woman's amazing. She's so consistent. That was the thing. Every time I saw her, she smiled. If I saw her in this group, if I saw her in this Zoom meeting, in this Zoom room, everywhere I saw her, she smiled. Every time you asked her a question, she had something positive to say, right? I went to one of her talks, man, blew my mind. You are wanting people to say yes to you. You must give them a reason to say yes. Right? If you're not celebrating, turning on your camera celebrates you. When most of the room has their camera off and you're the one who has it on, you have immediately separated yourself. You have immediately given the extra, and the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just a little extra. I'm not saying do it today. I'm just making you understand it is the littlest of things that will make a monumental difference in what you're attempting to do right now. So belief, your belief system was locked in by the time you were 7 years old. If you have not sat down and rewrote who you want to be, you are trying to create a life that you want based on a set of standards that were given to you. So the vision is you sitting there saying, this is my legacy. This is who I want to be. This is what I want to create in my personal and professional life. This is the kind of place I want to live. This is the kind of kids I want to raise. Or I tell people, don't raise kids, raise amazing humans. Right? When you decide that no matter what, I'm going to raise amazing humans, you'll make very different decisions about them as they're growing up. Right? It's especially women. I work with a lot of women and they get mad that their kids don't like them. Don't care if they don't like you. If you're raising amazing humans, they're not going to like you because you're helping them create discipline and standards and habits that they will love you for later. Most of the world grows up and doesn't have any discipline, any habits, and any standards because everybody tried to get you to like, they tried to have a liking relationship instead of a loving relationship. So again, what is the vision of who you are, what you're creating, who you're going to be at that job, right? So if you want this amazing job, are you the person that they hire? Right? I tell people when you go to interview, how have you prepared? Right? Do you know about the company? Did you go look up the interviewer? Did you look up what have you done to let them know that, oh my God, I got to have this person on my team, right? It is everything you do. I'm in my background in sales, but I tell people you are always selling yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you will argue with people. When you believe in yourself, you don't even waste time arguing. You understand that it's not your person, it's not your situation, it's not your job. You look for a way to exit as soon as possible to move into something that elevates you and lights you up and allows your greatness to come out. You have to understand and decide what that greatness is first. So the vision, right? One of the things without belief of what you want to create, who you want to be, what you want to acquire, you have no target. And without a target, you can't hit anything. And that creates frustration. People keep saying, I want this or I don't want this, and they'll change. People say, oh, I want a successful business. But you know what I don't want is you actually do not want a successful business, because when you know what you believe and desire, you will be clear, and that's the only thing you talk about. So one of the activities I would have you to do is the most unwanted list. So if you look at the list of your top 3 things that you said you wanted for your goals for 2022, think about something that makes you feel like it's going to be hard or impossible, right? And you can just make notes to this because, I'm going to keep going and I'll show you how to flip it. But what happens is people say, oh, I want to get this job, but I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. The problem is whatever you're speaking, you're creating. You cannot create an amazing from a list of don't want. It's impossible. It's the opposite. So getting clear on what you do want, or taking the things that you don't want, right? Like I was talking to someone who said they don't want to, oh, I gotta think. I get them all the time. So give me a second here to let my mind. Oh, I don't want to get fired, right? Because they're sales who didn't want to get fired. So the focus is focus on your mind. If we can mute people, because I get a little background noise, so everybody could go on mute. So what you focus on, you find. So when you focus on and talk about what you don't want, or when you're talking about what you don't want, that's your focus. you will find it 100% of the time. So instead of focusing on, I don't want to get fired, it's like, well, why do you think you're going to get fired? Oh, because I'm not hitting my sales target. I've missed my quota 2 quarters in a row. And if I don't make it this time, I'm going to get fired. So, okay, now let's focus on what would you like that situation to look like? Well, I'd love to act like, actually, I'd love to not get fired. Okay, let's go greater than that. In a perfect world, if everything could work in your favor and nothing was impossible, what would you love to happen? Well, I'd actually love to win President's Trophy. Oh my God. So I'm talking to somebody who hasn't met their quota in 2 quarters, and their actual greatest desire would be to be on stage and win President's Trophy. So that's the target we create. That's what you actually write. Then what you do is you do the work of becoming the person, right, who wins that trophy. And there's all kind of activities and things I coach and I move people through. However, as long as you have that target, guess what? That person's sales turned around because they started focusing on something greater. Doesn't mean that they hit President's Trophy, but if you don't shoot for the moon, you won't land in the stars. And that's what generally happens. Most people are spending all their efforts trying to stop stuff from happening. You can't control and stop stuff from happening. So instead, use that same energy to focus on something that's great and amazing, and the things that you don't want to happen will cease happening. Because the only reason they're happening because you're focusing on them, you're talking about them, and you're thinking about them all day long. So the next step is now you get clear. You've decided.
Meshell,
Yes.
I apologize for interrupting. We have a couple of questions about belief.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So someone is asking about
Ruth Ann asked.
What do you say to those that don't like job searching, can't do it because it's too salesy, and sales is bad or dishonest, and they dislike that? I think distaste for sales is a big barrier to effective job searching.
Yes. Okay. So this is what I do. I'm a sales and confidence igniter. I love selling because it's just a conversation, right? So what people are doing, sales is a transaction where you're attempting to get somebody, you're trying to convince somebody to buy something, right? I think of it as The Art of Influence. It's a book by Robert Cialdini. It's called Influence. Incredible book. And he really talks about people who are incredible leaders and start movements, and CEOs and salespeople, speakers. They actually don't focus on trying to convince. What they do is they have a conversation about influence. I am telling you or sharing with you an opportunity that would be beneficial to you, and allowing that person to say yes or no. So when I go to a job interview, I prepare, I do everything. Like I said, I look up go to LinkedIn, look up my interview, and I ask, who are the people going to be? Can I have the names of the people interviewing me? I'd love to come prepared to know a little bit about them, right? And all of those things. Then I go to the interview with the full well knowing I cannot control the outcome. All I can do is give my best foot forward, ask as many questions. If they choose to say no to me, I believe in the abundance of our higher power. If they say no, something will always show up. People get so stuck on the result instead of understanding that the process of looking for a job is meant to hone your skill for something greater. You're constantly in an evolution. There is no there for the evolution of a person who wants to live an incredible and amazing life. You're constantly learning, you're constantly growing, you're constantly facing challenges. This is just a little blip in the process of your life. So saying that you don't like to do something that's necessary to get the results you want is counterintuitive. So my question is, do you really want a job? Because if you really want a job, you would do whatever it takes, no matter what, to learn to love the process of looking for a job. Did that answer?
Thank you. Yes, it does. And then we have another question from Ruth Ann, a very good question, which is, when you're writing your goal, how do you know if you're not, I'm sorry, let me get this straight. Trying to scroll up and it's not working. So in a nutshell, Ruth Ann asked, when you're setting your goals and what you're trying to accomplish, how do you know you're not being unrealistic? Like you're going and dreaming of something too big.
All right. So remember, your reality is your mentality, right? So my reality is going to be different from yours, Ruth Ann. Okay. I played basketball when I was in high school, right? Pretty decent. Would it be realistic for me to go try to play in the NBA now as a 50-something-year-old woman? I don't think so. The WNBA, no. So, but would it be realistic for me to want to work for the WNBA, right? So again, it is reality. Unrealistic is based off of not just skill, but I always go to the why. When you can uncover why you want it, then that'll tell you if it's realistic or not. Because sometimes it's a want. There's a difference between just wanting something, right? People want things because they see other people have it or someone told you about it. That's what makes it unreasonable. When you really uncover your personal drive and why, the things that light you up no matter what, then they won't even feel, you won't even think unrealistic. You will just know, oh my God, I'm making this happen.
Thank you.
Did that make sense? I can't see it. Yeah. Okay. So having said that, we're going to go to imagination. So imagination is so fun to me. It wasn't at first. As soon as you are in wake state, you are in imagination. Anything happens to you, you immediately use your mind either for you or against you. Most people think about what could go wrong. Most people think that somebody could say no. Most people think that people are too busy. You have imagined that you don't deserve. If you're doing any of that, you're in an undeserving state. The only way to stretch the muscle of imagination is to quiet your mind. And the number one most fascinating and efficient way to quiet your mind is a regular practice of meditation. I have done meditation, morning meditation, so long, I can't even tell you when I didn't do it. And it took me 3 years to establish the habit. This, I tell people, I'm masterful at helping people establish habits because I suck at it. So I know how hard it is. I know what you're hearing. I know what the critic is saying. I know the excuses. I've done them all multiple times. And that's why I love doing what I do for a living, because I know once you master it, once you get it locked in and you can't not do it, baby, all bets off. The only reason anything is hard in life is because you don't have a habit. And what the habit does is make your unconscious voice in your head, the knee-jerk reaction of that voice is to tell you and you can and to imagine a favorable outcome. What's happening now is because you don't have the habit, your unconscious inner voice is criticizing you, it's making excuses, and it's finding fear. Am I making sense? Meditation immediately starts to change. It doesn't even take but 2 weeks. When I'm working with my clients, as soon as they can get consistent, because we do weekly calls, I can tell by that third week, I know when they've done the consistency. They don't even have to tell me, because as soon as they get on the call, the words out of their mouth are different. Their emotion, the energy that they evoke is immediately different. And so I tell people that that's what's happening. You cannot hide confidence. Confidence is an emotion. Unless you are a con artist, you can't fake confidence. And you're going on interviews and you're not confident. And we can smell it. Somebody interviewing, you can smell it, you can taste it. It's on you. So again, imagining, writing out what you want. And I tell people, do this before the job. So once you get this big, every job interview go on after that, this will be your practice to write out what you believe is possible, right? It starts to, and then imagine what it's going to be like when you get the job before you even interview them, right? And then we'll go to the next one. So I'll tell, this is a practice. When I go on prospecting calls, right? Or when I talk to a prospect, I do this before every time I do it. I imagine that, but by the end of that call, they're going to be like, oh my God, when can we start? Now, that doesn't mean that everybody says, when can we start? But everybody walks away going, oh my God, you know what? Not right now, but in the future. Or, oh my God, you know what? I can't use you, but let me think. I got to refer somebody. Like they have to send me business because they've had a discovery call with me. I kid you not. and it's taken time to hone it. It wasn't always like this. Everything I'm telling you requires practice. Practice is the mother of skill and success. The reason you struggle is you don't have a habit, and you cannot create a habit without practice, without countless repetition. Mastery by standard is 10,000 repetitions or hours. And most people are whining after 2 or 3 interviews, right? 2 or 3 calls, 2 or 3 sending out emails, right? You are not even close to mastery. Focus on mastering interviewing, focus on mastering whatever it is that's bothering you, and all the pain of doing it will go out the way because your only focus will be getting great at it. You're focused on the pain instead of focusing on honing and harnessing a skill that's going to change your life. So imagination, like when you look at this picture, like how many people see a candlestick, or how many people see 2 people looking like they're about to kiss? Right? So everybody saw something different at first, but once I mentioned it, you saw them both. This is literally your mind works. It sees what it wants to see. And until you tell it what to see, it's going to see based off of your strongest emotion. And generally, most people's strongest emotion is fear, because you're talking and thinking about what you don't want. That's fear. That's lack. That's scarcity. Until you change your emotions to belief, your mind is not working for you. It's working against you. I want you to understand your brain is made up of 86 billion neurons. It is constantly synthesizing external stimuli based on what you want. And until you feed it enough imagination of favorable outcome, it's always going to come up with a result against you. Think about if you put data into a computer. However old you are, you've been putting data into your supercomputer for how many years? And if you haven't been intentionally focused on favorable data, it's not going to give you a favorable outcome. We, by our reptilian brain, we are negative. We still live in a sense of scarcity and fear. We think we need to go in a cave. Our brain is very reptilian. Technology has far exceeded man's capability right now. That's why it's so frustrating for some people to have to do things the way they have to do it, right? Change is the inevitable. So it's when you start imagining that I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, I'm pretty enough, but when you start to have that imagination and you make it regular, you practice it, you hone it, you master it, then your mind will start to deliver you outcomes that you didn't even know. It will exceed your expectation. So again, same thing. You got an old woman or a young woman. Everybody sees something different. When you use your imagination in your favor, can't will be eliminated. There is no can't. Thoughts become things. People are constantly creating. The only reason you are feeling a challenge is because you're meant to solve for that problem. 86 billion neurons. Every person, every human being has the same capacity of their white brain matter, unless they've had some traumatic brain injury or some birth defect or something. We all can solve. If you look around the room you sit in, everything you lay your eyes on, somebody thought it. Then they decided to create it. So you have the same power. It's just that you're not using your thoughts in your favor. So I tell people, can't, C-A-N-T, is your conditioning accepts negative thoughts. Your conditioning is accepting negative thoughts. That's all can't is. And we are all been raised in environments and around us and to talk, right? Most of this, we don't know. I tell people, I didn't know any of this until I became an entrepreneur. It's the greatest gift I had was to almost lose all my money and then start to really believe that this is what I wanted to do no matter what. And the tides changed. Because that's sometimes what that emotional belief, many people have to hit rock bottom because it brings out something in you that you didn't even know exist, right? And can is creativity is actively nurtured. There's no limit to what you can create when you believe, right? If you sit and think about something, everybody has some situation in their life where it didn't seem like they could do it, they did it. Go back and trace back. Think about what you fought, why you believed in that, and that's what you want to create for the future. Something that you believe in just as strong and will compel you and drive you, inspire you, and ignite you and motivate you to keep going. And this is generally what happens for every human being in the moment of external stimuli. This is what you're doing all day long. You're in fear, right? So you're getting a feeling because as soon as you do something you've never done before, as soon as you go somewhere you've never gone, talk to someone you've never talked to, you have a sense of uncomfort, discomfort, and you know, like it's that initial emotion. It rises. Now you will have an experience of fear. You will have an experience of fear, and you will either forget everything and run, or you'll face everything and rise. Right. And so based off of how you train your mind is you can't get output without the input. So everybody's looking forward to withdraw all the strength and courage and amazing when you haven't put it in. Your brain is what gives you that outcome. And if you haven't been reading books and going to seminars and listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos, right? Whatever that thing is you want more than anything, you have not mastered that skill and invested in learning as much as you can about it, stop looking for this amazing outcome, right? Just telling you. All right, the G is gratitude.
Meshell, quick question. Can you please comment on those job seekers whose family members are negative and critical?
So the expectation that everything is going to be difficult, is going to be easy, is what causes people to have a challenging life. Everybody who has done anything great in life, greatness always starts with belief, and it's always faced with naysayers, critics, looking for other people to believe in you more than you, right? Until you believe in yourself and you build and create something, they will come back and turn in your favor, or sometimes they don't. Right? But you keep going outside of you looking for someone to go, oh, you're awesome. Oh, that's going to be okay. Oh, and the minute you go looking external for validation, you will almost always be met with the opposite. Because your inner voice, your soul is asking you to believe in you, not anyone else. Does that make sense? Yeah. 1 second. One of the things that is happening, I actually am a live-in aide for my sister, and someone is trying to get in the house to get to her, her physical therapist, who never told me what time she was arriving. So I might need to jump up really quick and open the door. So then this is the thing, what else am I going to do? I can't do anything. Be honest. I get committed to my sister that I'd be her live-in aide and caregiver and still run my virtual business. And this is what I do. So gratitude.
All right.
Yeah, gratitude is the game changer. It is everything. So you have a belief that I'm going to get a job. You have a belief that I'll get a home. You have a belief that I will, advance in my career. Anything that belief is, right? So once you decide that's what you want, people say, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this. Then you must imagine that it will go well. And the imagination is to help you in the face of negativity, because you're going to be met immediately as soon as you want something greater than what you have. You are going to be met with difficulties. As soon as you want more, you must become more. And the only time adults become more, or just humans, period, is when we're faced with the opposite. You must become it. It's helping you develop your character so you don't just get it, you keep it. Right? Remember, the only reason anything's hard is because it's not the habit. Once you have a habit of something, you'll always have the result. The reverse is not true. You can get a result without a habit. I'll tell you the example. The weight loss industry is $1 trillion industry because people keep losing weight, but don't have the habit that they really want, which is healthy. Because once you have a healthy habit, you will make better decisions about eating, cooking, exercising, hydrating, and you won't have a weight problem. right? It'll come off because you are now making decisions to be healthy. And even if a bunch of weight doesn't come off, you'll be in a healthy mindset. So you'll feel good about yourself, right? So it's the varied. So what you are doing is people keep trying to get a result instead of become a identity of the success that they want, which is the habit. So once you just start saying thank you to everything that's happening externally, even though it looks, it feels like, and it seems like it's counter to what you want, you will get there faster. Know that it's happening for you, not to you. There's a reason it's happening, and it's to refine your character so that you don't just keep it, you can keep going up, because character requires that you expand how you speak, how you respond, how you show up. And that's what makes you valuable. Right? Anything that has value and holds value becomes valuable. Anything that can maintain a standard of being valuable becomes a rare commodity. Most people on this planet are barely even have any value, because as soon as something doesn't go their way, they start complaining. And then when you do that, remember, someone's always watching. Again, gratitude is the game changer. So what gratitude does is it creates happiness, it empowers focus, it I'm trying to say two words at once. It increases positivity, expands appreciation, and it helps you with the hard days. It doesn't mean that everything goes your way. It just means that you synthesize it differently and experience it differently so you can stay focused on what you're creating. 1 second, let me tell her. I got about 10 minutes. Okay. So when you have that, so you have the BIG. So I'll give you an example. When I'm getting ready to go on a proposal call, or I have someone on a discovery call, I will do all my research on their company, on them. I go to LinkedIn, I Google the company, I Google their name, so that I can imagine that my skills are for them. When I would go on job interviews back when I was an employee, I showed up to the job interview interviewing them. I didn't care if I had a job or not. Why do you get me? Because see, I've invested in myself. I read books, I listen to podcasts, I do training, I take care of myself. My mind, I'm solutions. I show up, I'm positive. I'm going to make your workplace better when you hire me. Not just the clients I serve, but my colleagues. You will be better off for having hired me. So why do you get me? Is how I show up in the interview. And that's what happens when you don't master yourself. You go there begging people to hire you. You're trying to convince them to hire you instead of asking them, why do they get you? This is the difference, and why it's so important to be clear on who you are, what you bring to the table, and your capacity, and hold that no matter what, because you're always going to be tested on whether you believe in you. You will, for the rest of your life, be tested on whether you believe in you, to hold your standard. Again, you want to know what gratitude looks like? Think about a kid on Christmas morning. If you truly believe life was working in your favor, you would just experience things. It's like, oh my God, this is awesome. It's a lesson or a blessing, is what I tell people. That's all life is. Life is the best teacher there is. You are constantly being asked to learn something so you can have the more, the different, and the better you say you want. Most people don't ever get there because when you complain, you remain in your current circumstances. You're not cultivating greatness or anything. You are not harvesting anything. You cannot build a life of faith, which is belief, out of seeds of fear. Speak what you seek until you see what you say. And if you're speaking negativity and lack and scarcity, that's all you're ever going to see. And the only way to change that conversation is to rewrite the belief, which is the vision of who you've decided to be. And then spend time every day imagining, like when things go wrong, go, you know what? Anything that could go wrong can also go right. So I'm going to stop right now and take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. And in the middle of this hot mess, I'm going to imagine it's going to go right. And your energy and your emotions will dissipate. And it doesn't mean that the situation changed. It just means that you've changed your perspective, how you're responding and to everything, and it will start to work in your favor. So think about one of the goals that you had, and I'm leave it open to take some questions. So think about one of the goals that you shared earlier, and I want you to think about sharing it as already done. So you said 2022. So today, now we're moving fast forward. Today is Saturday, December 31st, 2022. You have achieved those goals on your list. How would you tell someone it's already done? It's already successfully done, one of the goals. And I'd love for somebody to unmute and say it out loud. Wait, James, I think you said you were muted.
I'm sorry, I was asking the folks in the room if they want to come up and share.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Say it out loud.
And don't be shy, folks. This is how we learn.
And I will tell you, so as I'm waiting, and I usually give it about 60 seconds, somebody will pop up. One of the greatest deterrents from getting what you want is caring what other people think. And that's why people don't say it out loud, because they think they're going to get it wrong or say something wrong. You must eliminate that muscle. There is no wrong. And when you're in, like, the only reason we think it's wrong is because we're comparing. When you compare and compete, you have a barometer. So if it doesn't look like that, or doesn't sound like that, or doesn't feel like that, then it's wrong. It's off. If you create, right? If you decide every day is a new day, I've never lived this day before. I say, what do you do that you've never done before? Every day you live. So you're creating every day. So you can't get it wrong. If someone else tells me I'm wrong, I'm like, that just means you're not my person. Because baby, ain't nothing wrong with this. This is all good all day. Right?
That's right.
I know my number, $287,000 between undergraduate, master's degree, coaching, counseling, all the investments. Right. And I tell, like, what you see here is the counter to my life. I was raised in a blue collar urban area. I was abused in every kind of way you can think with alcoholism. I was incarcerated by the time I was 20 years old. I was depressed and suicidal by the time I was 24. Turned my life around, got my college degree, thought life was good, got engaged, fiance, got sick, died 2.5 months later. Second time I sat on a couch looking at suicidal ideation, diagnosed twice in my life. And I decided to live, because I asked myself, what was it about this man that was so awesome that you wanted to cease existing because he no longer lived here? And it was because of the unconditional love and friendship and support that he would always give me. So I decided to dedicate my life to being that for everybody else I came across. Like, that means if I didn't get it, and I'm aware of how painful it is most of the world, like, that is my gift. Right? Of igniting confidence to help people believe, not in just one thing, something that you want more than anything when you work with me, right? Create something that is just going to light you up for the rest of you. Because once you light that up at that level, you won't dim it. You'll want to keep feeding it. So again, I challenge somebody to share one thing is already done, because you cannot get this wrong. This is your truth. Is the term, I air quotes, because you know, but this is your truth. You cannot get it wrong. And if somebody else don't like it, you just learn that's not your person. That's all. Somebody
That's
has
right.
anything negative.
I'll get us started.
Go ahead.
So one goal as already done. I'm a executive and team coach, and I just started my own business earlier this year. And my goal is to have 10 clients by December 31st, 2022.
Awesome. 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 Now, can I give it back to you? A little different, right? So it is the team coach, right? Started own business, and 10 people working for you or with you?
No, I'm sorry, 10 clients.
Oh, 10 clients. That's what I missed, right? So saying it is already done, that creates the energy so that your imagination will start to create the outcome for you on your behalf. Is, oh my God, I can't believe it's December 31st. This has been the most amazing year ever. I'm a team coach. I started my business and I love these clients. I got 10 of the most amazing clients, man. And when I talk about my clients, folks get jealous because they are just that awesome. Done. See what I did? Because it evokes the imagination. Imagination is evoked with your energy. with your emotion. Most people can emote about the problem that they're feeling right now, but they will not emote that same level of emotion about the future that they desire. So that's why you stay stuck.
And that's a great point, Meshell, because I was saying I will rather than I have, which is much more powerful.
Yeah,
because
it's already done.
Yeah. And then I have all the experiences of having had that.
Yes. So then your mind, like when you're faced with the child, because that means that you, again, he's not there. You're going to be expanding. That means you still got things to learn and grow, and everything's not going to go right. However, when it doesn't go as, correct or exactly, your mind will quickly synthesize the outcome. It'll give you options. Your emotions won't derail you because you're like, no, this is okay. It takes a little practice, but eventually you'll start to realize that I used to tell people, I would write visions in my clients and they would come and we do our weekly calls. And I'm like, okay, what did you write in your vision for that to happen? And they go, oh yeah, right? Because you created a vision of massively more, which means you're going to have massive emotional challenges, massive spiritual challenges, massive financial challenges. Whatever you write in that vision, whatever you keep saying you want more of is causing you emotional turmoil that you have not faced and dealt with as the gift to get you where you want to go. You keep complaining about it instead of accepting it. Now, I'll tell you this story. I'm not a tiny chick, right? I'm thicker for reals. But for some reason, I went through a training program where this is why I know how to write visions, because I did this whole program. And so I wrote a vision and I was as we were going through the program, and people say, what do you want more than anything? It was part of my health vision. And I was like, I want to run the New York City Marathon, because I knew as soon as it came out of my mouth, I couldn't take it back. I was like, crap, couldn't take it back, right? So I lived in New York on 5th and between 5th and Madison. So the marathon ran past me. I used to watch it on the Today Show. And when they got to Harlem, I could go downstairs and see all the lead racers run past me. It was the most incredible thing. And then my coworkers would have the timing and I have signs up, and it was just amazing. And that's what I wanted to be a part of. So I did the work. I wrote the big vision. I imagined it every day for 10 months as I got up and I ran, and it was amazing. I was like, I can't even believe I'm running this long, right? It gave me so much confidence. It wasn't even about the race. It was about what I got to create, who I got to become in those 10 months, right? Of preparing for it. When I got to do the race, right now, I didn't run the race. It was 8.5 hours for Meshell to get through this, right? 26.2 miles. There was a little bit of running, a whole lot of walking, right? So by the time I hit 18.8 miles, my hip flexors started to bother me so incredibly. By the time I hit 20 miles, it was like I was stepping on fire. I was in so much pain. I was sobbing. I was crying. I was freezing. It was the 1st November in New York, and it was night now, and I was freezing. But every time I thought I was going to give up, instead of my mind giving me an excuse to give up, it reminded me of things to keep going. The first thing it told me was I had seen a TEDx on Marines, and Marines have this rule: once your body gives out, you still have 40% more. Once you're mentally, if you can hold the vision, you can do at least, you got 40% more to go. So I was like, did the math. Okay, you're 20 miles, you're good, right? Keep going. Then again, got worse and worse and worse. I'm crying, I'm dying, I'm ready to give up. Next thing I know, I remember something I heard about POWs, prisoners of war who imagined going home. Imagine what it was going to be like when they were released, were the ones that went home. The ones who thought about the pain and thought about how unfair it was, they ended up, most of them for the most part, died because they couldn't see past the circumstances. So that kept me going. I kept going. The last thing I remember is I hit the park. I saw the park and I was like, yeah. Somebody came walking past me and was like, only 2.5 miles to go. Man, if I could have moved fast enough, I'd have probably caught a case for killing them. I didn't need to know it was that much more to go because I was in a lot of pain. I was thinking it was around the corner, right? And so as I hit the park and I felt that emotion, I said, no, negativity is not going to get you there. Think positive. I swear for God, I saw Harriet Tubman. And for me, as a woman of color, in that moment, I realized that I had the DNA of people who walked to freedom, who didn't know where they were going, who under the fear of death, they didn't know when they would get to stop walking. They couldn't see anything in the dead of night because they wanted something greater. They walked so I could cross that finish line, and I crossed that finish line. So when you practice knowing what you want, imagining it, and being grateful that it's already happened, your mind will start to give you that outcome, and you won't know how to stop. You won't know how to not succeed. That's the problem. We spend too much time thinking about what could go wrong, having conversation about what's unfair, right? Focusing on what you don't have instead of realizing you have the opportunity to create everything your heart desires when you master the habit. So confidence is the habit of believing in yourself. Last takeaways: belief, challenge what you're feeling against what you want. Make it line up so that you feel good about what you're saying, thinking, and feeling. Imagine what great and better will look like for everyone. You want to be valuable, not just you getting stuff. Think about everybody. When I go into a meeting like this, I don't care if y'all like me. I just know that you guys will be better off for having heard me, that everyone in this call is going to get something that's going to change the way they think for the rest of their life, because I think about all involved. I'm the gift that I've been giving to you, not just that I'm getting to speak. And it's not about getting clients, it's about being a gift, right? And then the last one is gratitude. It's a lever, right? Anybody that's bothering you, troubling you, challenging you, think they're a gift to help you hone being amazing. Everything is a gift. Say thank you. And that's it. Do you have any questions? I don't know. I think we're like almost at time here. But does anybody have any questions? And if you take your phone, you'll be able to click to get my link tree, and I'll have a discovery link. It'll have my LinkedIn, and then there's a thing that my confidence starter. You can get access to that. We just put that together.
Meshell, I have a question.
Yes.
It's too long to type it in. So you talked about the 2 times when you were really at emotional rock bottom, and both times you were able to somehow change your life in a dramatic way. The first time after incarceration and everything that led up to that, was there an external source, or did you just do some serious reflection and come up with the strength to change yourself internally?
Yeah, great question. So I actually understand. I was raised in the church, so biblical principle is something that's ingrained in me. But the one thing I do get more, that I don't know why I get that, but I know that without input, there can be no output. And I know that it's patience, right? That it doesn't happen overnight. So even when I was in those levels of depression, I still participated I still listened to things. So I was still intaking, like I would go home and sit there almost in the dark, but in the house, a sermon would be playing. So even though I was sitting there feeling depressed and not wanting to go on, or just feeling like, oh, well, I know that it's in the hearing. So it takes time to harvest. And little by little, it would turn around. So had I truly given up, I wouldn't have listened to anything, right? But somewhere in there was little. And I tell people, I'm more spiritual now. I do have faith and greatness and all that. And I don't know what anybody hears, because I'm like, some of the strangest stuff happens in my head. So I won't challenge anyone what they hear. But at that time, I was very, very Christian. And my belief that I would go to hell is what saved me. Like, that was the only thing that really I kept clinging to. Like, I wanted to, but I kind of really was too, so that made me look. So remember, your mind synthesizes. So it made me look for alternatives. Like, okay, maybe this isn't the end, even though I feel like it, right? So am I making sense, and was that helpful?
Meshell, I have a question.
Oh, I didn't know. Did the other person get their answer real quick?
Yes, I did. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yes, your question, ma'am.
How do you, I know you're a caregiver, how do you balance that with career? It's
Oh.
very difficult.
Oh, it is bananas difficult. It is, and if you email me, I'm actually starting weekly conversations where people can come talk about this, because it is one of the hardest things I ever did. I said yes to it because it's a human being, right? And it's somebody I love, and how I don't understand the alternative. If I say I love you, I trust that there's an infiniteness out there that works in everybody's favor. I've just got to align and do the work. So I have routines and practices that I do first thing every morning throughout the day to realign my energy when I'm faced with like the physical therapist that's sitting outside waiting to get in. She didn't text me. She knows this is what I do. I could have got up, but I decided no. The rule is you let me know first thing in the morning what time you come so I can prepare accordingly based off of my schedule, right? So I have boundaries and guidelines, and that still doesn't mean it's all going to go the way I want it to. It means that I work around it. I, in the moment, go, how can I make this work? How can I make this work for all involved in my favor? I choose to not think that it's something going wrong. Instead, that it's an opportunity to grow my imagination and my skills. Was that helpful at all?
No, a little. I mean, when you've lost your job twice due to caring for family, I don't know. It can be very disillusioning.
So with you, I would have a conversation about what kind of jobs are you looking for? Are you creating the contract up front with the people that you're working for, letting them know that a lot of flexibility is going to be required? And if they say no, well, then that's not your person. You keep moving on with the belief that you're going to find and align with someone who gets your circumstances and will be flexible in that. So, I mean, there's so many different ways. And so I can't, in this short period of time, I'm not able to. But when I help people write visions, it's all around writing things that align so that not just you, but everybody involved has a better outcome.
What's your contact for this group? Or I guess they'll leave your email or?
Yeah, just let me just put my email on the chat because you guys, and I can send, you have to register. It's just a Zoom link register that I can get my assistant to send you. So just put, just say a link to, it's called Confident Conversations. Just say, send me link to register for Confident Conversations at hello@meshellbaker.com. And it's just about this, having conversations about your current circumstances and talking about how to experience it in a different way so that you can start to imagine that it's not happening to you.
Okay, I'll try. I'll try it.
It takes practice. It takes a lot of practice.
Well, this caregiving thing, all I have to say is I'm only one person. And caring for two people and doing a full-time complex job, I don't know. You get it. I know you get it.
Yeah. And again, we'll chat. I want to see if anybody else has questions because I know you guys have a time limit, and I want to honor that as well.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a question for you, please. So what would you say to someone who is down in the dumps and is not working on their search? What first one step could they take?
Someone that's down in the dumps and not working on their search, and just that's emotion, right? So they're really feeling. Our emotion is held in our body. 90% of your emotional memory is in your body. That's why you actually, when you say you feel something, you feel it. Understand that your body only knows the history, right? So I would start to do, I would highly recommend, encourage, and implore that person to start a morning routine of meditation and visualization, and make it non-negotiable, because you cannot get in an output of change until you input the change. and it takes time with the input. Your mind does 90% of the work. That voice in your head, the chatter, the whole time I've been talking, there's been a conversation, thoughts, challenges. Oh, she's not right. Or I heard this different, right? Everything has been happening. Oh, I forgot to do that. I got to do this. There's always this voice in your head. And until you get that voice on your side, your life outside is always going to be in havoc, in turmoil. So, and that voice needs to be fed. 90%, only 10% of you is actively participating in this call. So I always say, until you get that voice in your head on your side, it's always going to be a battle. You are battling with you. There's no one outside you going, no, you can't have a job. No, you can't do caregiving and have a job. No, you can't. There's no one outside of you doing that. You're doing it to you. And it's the 90% of you on the inside that you have not aligned with what you want. And that's why that practice. Success is actually boring and mundane. It's redundant. The most successful people in the world have the most strict habits and practices of mindset and morning routines that most people don't want to do, but they want their outcomes. And that's where my work comes in. I'm a masterful at helping you establish those little shifts and as habits so you can have what you say you want.